If she responds this way, she wants intimacy with you. Let me ask you this. Do you really know when a woman wants intimacy with you, or are you guessing? In this video, I'm challenging you to rethink the way you read her responses, because once you learn these 20 signals, you'll never see her reactions the same way again, and the last one will test you more than any of the others. If you're new here, welcome. We drop daily men's dating advice here at Psycho 2.0. Hit like if you're ready to improve. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out. 20. She lets her sentences trail instead of closing them. Most people wrap their thoughts neatly. That's all I wanted to say. Done. But when she's flirting with intimacy, she does the opposite. She'll leave her sentences open, unfinished, almost like she's dangling them in the air for you to step into. It's subtle, but it's powerful. That unfinished edge is an invitation. It leaves space for you to add, to connect, to bridge her thought with yours. She's not asking for completion of the sentence, she's asking for completion of the moment. And what's fascinating is how unconscious it is. She's not planning it. She's just allowing closeness to replace closure. But that's only the beginning, because the next one is even stranger. 19. She questions your memories, not your facts. Plenty of people challenge facts. Are you sure that's true? But when she asks about your memory instead, do you really remember it that way? Or what made that moment stick for you? That's not about accuracy. That's intimacy in disguise. Why? Because memories are personal. They're not about right or wrong, they're about how you felt. When she digs into your recollections, she's signaling she wants to step inside your inner world, not just your outer story. That's an intimacy move most men miss. They think she's being playful or skeptical. In reality, she's tugging at the threads of how you experience life because she wants to experience it with you. And if that feels revealing, wait until you see the physical response that doesn't involve touch at all. 18. She slows her gestures when you speak. Most advice points to fidgeting as attraction, but here's the overlooked opposite. When you're speaking and she deliberately slows down her movements, her hand lingers over her glass, her fingers pause mid-text, her fork stalls before reaching her mouth. That's a tell. She's not bored. She's suspending her actions because she doesn't want to break the spell of your words. That restraint is intimacy in action. Her body literally refuses to interrupt your presence. Think about how rare that is. Most people multitask, without a thought. If she slows herself down, she's saying this moment matters more than momentum. But what happens when her responses actually speed up? That's where the next one comes in. 17. She overlaps your jokes with her own. Not just laughing, not just responding, overlapping, where her words and yours blur together because she's too eager to hold back. This isn't about supportive laughter. It's about co-creating a rhythm that feels alive. It's intimacy through improvisation. Her brain isn't waiting its turn. It's fusing with yours in real time. That overlap shows she's not just listening, she's leaning in. And once you recognize that, you'll realize intimacy isn't always about harmony. Sometimes it's about chaos that feels safe. And speaking of safety, the next sign is a psychological one that most men never catch. 16. She reveals her harmless villains when she casually admits something small, like how she sometimes snoops on people's playlists, or how she judges strangers' shoes, or how she secretly hates a TV show everyone else loves. That's not random. She's not trying to confess a crime. She's revealing a flaw that's safe but human. It's her way of testing. Will you accept me if I drop the polished mask? Notice how specific these villains are. They're not serious. They're quirky, slightly rebellious, and deeply personal. By letting you in on them, she's saying intimacy isn't about being perfect. It's about being real with you. And when someone's real with you, their responses start shifting in ways you'd never expect. 15. She reacts to your pauses more than your punchlines. Most people measure interest by whether someone laughs at their jokes, but intimacy hides in the spaces between. Watch how she responds when you hesitate, when you trail off, when you let a pause hang. Does she lean in? Does she smile faintly, almost urging you forward? That response is deeper than laughing at a punchline. It's her nervous system filling in your silence with encouragement. In other words, she's not enjoying the entertainment, she's enjoying you. And when that happens, you can bet the next sign is lurking right behind it. 14. She rescues your distractions. Here's something almost no one talks about. When you lose your train of thought, maybe you get sidetracked mid-story, notice what she does. If she steps in to bridge the gap, reminding you of where you were or gently pulling you back, that's not just kindness. That's intimacy. It shows she's not passively listening. She's actively invested in your thread. She doesn't want you lost. She wants you carried. It's the conversational version of reaching out when someone stumbles. She's catching you, not because you need saving, but because she wants to prove she's attuned enough to notice. And if she rescues your words, wait until you see how she reshapes them. 13. She personalizes your phrases into nicknames. We're not talking about generic nicknames like babe or cutie, those are obvious. The real sign is when she takes something uniquely yours, maybe a phrase you overuse, maybe a funny sound you made once, and transforms it into shorthand only the two of you understand. That's intimacy coded in language. It's her way of carving out a secret corner of communication that excludes the world. Every time she uses it, she's reminding you, this isn't just us talking, this is us creating. But here's the twist. Intimacy isn't always about creating new language. Sometimes it's about borrowing yours. 12. She echoes your metaphors instead of correcting them. If you compare a tough week to carrying bricks, notice if she plays with the metaphor instead of dismissing it. Maybe she jokes about you needing a forklift, or she pretends to hand you gloves. That's not random humor. That's her choosing to step into your mental landscape instead of pulling you into hers. It's intimacy through shared imagination. Correcting would distance you. Echoing brings you closer, and that closeness is often the quiet foundation of attraction. And speaking of quiet, the next one takes silence to a whole new level. 11. She lets her facial expressions stay unpolished. Most people compose their face like a mask. Quick smiles, controlled reactions, socially tidy. But when intimacy creeps in, she lets go. Her face lingers in half smiles, in crooked grins, in raised brows that stay a second too long. It's messy, uncurated, human. That rawness is a giveaway. Because polished reactions are for strangers, unpolished ones are for people she feels safe around. If her expression looks less Instagram-ready and more backstage real, she's letting intimacy seep through. We're about to hit the top 10, but here's the thing. Noticing these signals isn't enough. What matters is how you respond when they show up. So, let's step back for a moment and break down exactly what to do when you catch them, because here's the trap a lot of men fall into. They think noticing one sign is a green light to sprint ahead. One smile, one lean in, one little flicker of intimacy, and suddenly they're convinced it's go time. But intimacy isn't built on a single signal. It's built like a rope strand by strand until it's strong enough to hold weight. How many signs should you look for? The truth is, you don't need to see every single one of them. But you also don't want to jump just because you caught one flicker. Think of it like a constellation. One star doesn't mean much. 2 or 3, you might start to see a pattern. But when the dots connect, that's when the picture becomes undeniable. So, what's the magic number? Generally, look for 3 to 5 signs clustering together, not necessarily all in one conversation, but across your interactions. For example, maybe she doesn't flinch at accidental touch. She lets her sentences trail open and she reveals a quirky, harmless villain side. That's a cluster. That's when you can feel confident the intimacy isn't in your head, it's in the air. What should you do once you notice them? Here's where most men blow it. They either ignore the signs completely out of fear of being wrong, or they overreact trying to cash in immediately, like intimacy is a coupon about to expire. The smarter move is this. When you notice these signals, don't announce them. Don't say, I see you did X. That must mean you like me. That kills the magic. Instead, match the intimacy she's offering. If she leaves sentences unfinished, leave some of yours. Unfinished, too. Let her step into your space. If she lingers in silence, linger there with her. Don't panic and fill it with noise. If she shows you her unflattering angles, show her some of your own instead of always staying polished. This isn't about seizing a moment. It's about meeting her moment. Here's why subtle responses matter more than bold ones. Think about it. Anyone can fake the obvious signs. The big laugh, the hair flip, the overt compliment, but subtle responses, the ones she doesn't even realize she's giving, those are honest, those are unfiltered. That's teen 20. She lets her sentences trail instead of closing them. Most people naturally wrap up their thoughts in neat, finished sentences. But when she's flirting with intimacy, she will deliberately leave her sentences unfinished, allowing them to trail off. This is not a mistake or an accident. It's subtle, but powerful. The open-endedness invites you to fill in the gaps, to step into the moment with her. It's not about completing her thoughts, it's about completing the connection. She's leaving space for you to join her in the narrative, for you to contribute to the shared experience. This is intimacy in its rawest form, unspoken but deeply felt. This is the kind of signal that often goes unnoticed, but once you learn to recognize it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. So, she questions your memories, not your facts. You've probably experienced a conversation where someone challenges the accuracy of a fact like, "Are you sure about that?" But when a woman is flirting with intimacy, she's not concerned about the facts themselves. Instead, she will ask, "Do you really remember it that way?" Or, "What made that moment stick for you?" This is a subtle but powerful signal of intimacy. Memories are deeply personal. They represent emotions, experiences, and perspectives. When she asks you about your memories, she's not trying to fact-check you. She's trying to understand your inner world, your emotions, your perspective. She's inviting you to share a part of yourself with her on a deeper level. Cow. She slows her gestures when you speak. People often associate fidgeting or physical movement with attraction, but there's a much more nuanced signal when it comes to intimacy. If you notice that she slows down her movements while you're speaking, like pausing mid-sentence or gently resting her hand on her glass, or even stopping herself from texting, it's a sign she's deeply engaged in the moment. She's not distracted. She's not in a rush. She's deliberately slowing herself down because your words, your presence, matter more than anything else in that moment. It's intimacy in action. Her restraint shows that she's actively choosing to be present with you, to connect, and to savor the moment. She overlaps your jokes with her own. This isn't just about laughter or a response. It's about energy. When she overlaps your jokes with her own, it means she's not just reacting to you. She's actively participating in the dynamic. The rhythm of the conversation becomes a collaboration. It's spontaneous, it's alive, and it's a form of intimacy through improvisation. It shows that she's not just listening to you, she's leaning into the energy between you, eager to be part of the moment. It's chaos that feels safe, and that's where true intimacy often thrives, when there's enough space for both of you to show up fully without fear. Chance, she reveals her harmless villains. You know those little quirky confessions people make? I sometimes snoop on people's playlists, or I judge people's shoes without even realizing it. When a woman lets you in on these harmless little flaws, they're not random. These confessions are a way of testing the waters of vulnerability. She's not showing you her biggest insecurities. She's showing you the small, human flaws that are harmless but still deeply personal. By revealing them, she's saying, "This is who I am, and I trust you with it." It's a way of establishing realness and intimacy. She's not asking for perfection. She's asking for acceptance. Feint. She reacts to your pauses more than your punchlines. Most people measure interest by laughter, by the immediate response to jokes. But true intimacy often lives in the spaces between words, the pauses. Watch how she responds when you hesitate, when you trail off, or when you simply take a moment of silence. Does she lean in closer, give you a soft smile, or maybe even urge you forward with her eyes? Her response isn't about enjoying the joke, it's about enjoying you. She's savoring the moment and the connection. The pauses between your words are where your bond deepens, not just the punchlines. Chan. She rescues your distractions. This is a subtle, yet powerful sign of intimacy. If you lose your train of thought during a conversation, notice if she gently steps in to help you. Maybe she reminds you where you were or fills in the gap. She's not doing this because she's trying to save you. It's because she's deeply attuned to you. She cares about what you're saying, and she's invested in keeping the conversation flowing. It's her way of showing that she's paying attention, that she's present, and that she values what you have to say. She personalizes your phrases into nicknames. We're not talking about generic nicknames like babe or cutie. The real sign of intimacy is when she takes something uniquely yours, maybe a phrase you overuse or a funny sound you made once, and turns it into a personalized nickname. It could be something as simple as the way you say a certain word or a quirky phrase you often use. She takes it and transforms it into a special, private shorthand that only the two of you understand. This is intimacy coded in language. It's her way of carving out a private corner of communication that only belongs to the two of you. She echoes your metaphors instead of correcting them. Metaphors are a window into a person's mind, a reflection of how they view the world. If you compare your difficult week to carrying bricks, for example, pay attention to how she responds. Does she joke about you needing a forklift? Or maybe she pretends to hand you gloves? This isn't random humor. It's a form of intimacy. Instead of correcting you or dismissing your metaphor, she's choosing to play along, to step into your mental landscape and engage with your perspective. She's echoing your world rather than imposing her own, which brings you closer together. Frike. She lets her facial expressions stay unpolished. Most people curate their facial expressions. Quick smiles, controlled reactions, and socially acceptable reactions. But when intimacy starts to build, a woman will let go of that polished exterior. Her smile may linger a little longer, her eyebrows might stay raised for just a beat too long, or her expression may become crooked or unrefined. This is a giveaway because polished reactions are for strangers. Unpolished ones? Those are for people she feels comfortable around. If her facial expressions are real, raw, and uncurated, it's a sign she's allowing intimacy to flow freely. 10. She adds unnecessary context just for you. Have you ever had someone tell a story, adding little details that aren't strictly necessary, like describing the weird blue light at the bar or the jacket she's wearing that she never wears? This is intimacy in action. When she offers these extra details, she's not explaining for clarity. She's explaining for connection. She's inviting you inside her world, wanting you to live in the moment with her. These small surplus details are her way of extending the narrative, drawing you in, and making the experience richer, deeper, and more shared. She defends her interruptions with apology. Most people, when they interrupt, either keep talking or awkwardly apologize. But when she interrupts and instantly apologizes, it's a sign she values your presence and your words. She's excited, but she also wants to respect your space. The apology isn't about guilt. It's about recognizing the importance of your voice and ensuring that her interruption doesn't overpower it. She's showing you that your words matter to her, and she doesn't want to dominate the conversation, but to join in. She positions her exits, but doesn't take them. One of the most subtle signs of intimacy is how she positions herself physically. If she angles her body in a way that suggests she's about to leave but doesn't actually take that step, it's a clear signal that she's choosing to stay. She could have walked away, but she's deliberately choosing to remain in your presence. This exit but stay posture highlights the tension of choice and the desire to stay connected. She could go, but she's choosing to stay, and that choice deepens the connection.